Well, hey there, Google Forms, intermediate pathway. Let's go ahead and take a look at some Google Forms settings. So, up in the top kind of right hand-ish area, you'll see that familiar gear shape. That's going to be your Google Forms settings. Click that. You have three different tabs here: General, Presentation, Quizzes. We'll first take a look at the General tab. So first option you have is to collect email addresses. I generally leave that on because that makes it to where even if a student or whoever forgets to put their name, misspells something, whatever, you still have that email address as a backup. Now, the second part, that's up to you if you want the person who sent or filled out the form to receive an email notification that they did fill out the form, and sometimes it gives them their answers and what they put into the form and all that. You click that on. You can make it an option for them so they have the ability to get it if they want it, or they're going to get it no matter what. So that's up to you. So in my case, I'll have that turned off. Requires sign in. I always have that on when I'm dealing with anything I'm doing with the district. So if you have that on, it restricts it to people with their kcmsd.net account. So it makes them sign into their actual Google accounts. And then if you do turn that on, that gives you the ability to limit to one response per individual. So if you only want a student or faculty or whoever the audience is for this form to only be able to fill out this form once, you'd have to turn that on, and they can only turn it on, or they can only submit it once. Down here, you have two choices. You could allow respondents to edit after they submit. So they turn it in, they say, oh, wait, I wanted to change that. They can actually click a little link that'll take them back to their Google form where they could change whatever they needed to change. And this box at the bottom, that makes it to where after they turn it in, they can see what other people were saying. So it shows them little pie charts and stuff, similar to the responses tab that you have access to as an author. It just won't say who did it. It's anonymous from the respondent's point of view. All right, next tab over, presentation. Just some things, it's really just changing the way it looks, the presentation, hence the name of the tab. So you can show the progress bar so people know if they're getting closer to the end, kind of like on some of the surveys and things you might have taken. So I usually have that off, but getting up to you. Shuffle question order. You might say, oh, that's an awesome feature, but you got to keep in mind, if you make your first question, what's the student's name? Then that will also shuffle that question. So that could end up being the last question in the middle or whatever. So just pay attention there. Or if you have a question that belongs to a certain picture, or just depending on how you have your Google form laid out, that could actually mess up the Google form. So just kind of pay attention to your own formatting there before you do turn that on. And if you don't, going back to our general tab real quick, if you don't limit to one response per user, you can go back over to presentation, and you can give them a link to submit it again if you want them for whatever reason to submit another form. But obviously, if you're limiting to one response per individual, you won't have the ability to choose that. And then down here, confirmation message is always going to default to your response has been recorded. If you want to change that to anything you want, you can tell the student what you want them to do next, thank them for turning it in, give them further directions, whatever. You can customize that completely by typing whatever you want down in that box right there. Last tab, quizzes. Now this is where Google Forms gets awesome. So under quizzes, you can make this a quiz. Off by default, turn it on like so. Quiz options, you can release the grade, and by that it means it will automatically grade for you. So there's the magic of Google Forms. And student can either see what they did right then, or if you choose after manual review, you could go over it and then you release it to the student. The student will get a notification of what their grade is. So I generally leave that on immediately so the kid can see what they did immediately. Now down here is where you can kind of mix and match depending on your own personal style. So you could show the student what questions they missed. So they'll get their grade and they go and say, oh, look, I missed this one or whatever. Now I generally, in my classroom for any type of formative assessment or just some ongoing learning and whatnot, I would have my missed questions turned on, but then I'd also have my limit to one response turned off. So that allows a student to resubmit and perhaps go back and correct some of those questions they missed. Now back in my quizzes tab, if you do want to do that, you probably don't want to show them the correct answers because then obviously they'll just be able to go and change all those answers because they're basically seeing the answer key. But if this is more of a summative type assessment, kind of one and done, you might want to show them their missed questions and let them see what the answer should have been but then you'd probably want to go back to the general tab and limit that to one response. But again, teacher discretion, whatever you want to do. And then your final one is you want to show them point values. So if question 2 is worth 5 points, but question 3 is worth 2 points, they can see those different values associated with each question. But those are all the different settings you can choose. So mix and match, play with those. Don't forget, whenever you're done, always hit save. And if you want to see what these settings look like before you actually submit or send out your form to whoever it's going to, don't forget you always got that preview button up top next to settings where you can see how those settings might have affected how your Google form looks. So click on that and it's going to look the same exact way it'll look to whenever you send it out to your respondents. So again, that is how to change the settings of your Google form.